Let's visualize some of these business concepts that we've talked about with a graph. So in this example, let's suppose that the total cost and revenue from producing Q items are shown on this graph. So the cost is going to be, let's say, this red curve, and the revenue will be the blue curve. And what we're interested in, all right, maybe that was not clear. I tried to make it a little bit clearer, but not very good at tracing, apparently. I'm not going to do it. Let's estimate the fixed cost to start with this. So what is fixed cost again? That's the cost that you always have to pay, even if you're not producing anything. So not producing anything, that's the y-axis, right? Not producing anything is when our quantity is 0. What do you think our cost is when we're not producing anything? Well, it doesn't tell us, right? But this is our cost function, and it looks like it would be kind of like right here or something, right? If it kept on going. So maybe you estimate that as $1,300 or something like that. Okay. So again, we're just estimating, it doesn't tell us. But the fixed cost, remember, is just the cost when Q equals 0. It's the cost that's not related to how much we're producing. Is profit positive when you produce and sell 4 items? So again, remember that profit is just revenue minus cost. Well, when we're producing 4 items, our revenue is up here. Our cost is down here. What's revenue minus cost? You could find the number, or you could see that revenue is higher. Revenue being higher, well, I think that tells us that our profit is positive. Yes, it's positive. Revenue is higher than cost here. So the profit's positive. If you're making more money than you're spending, you're profiting. All right? You could actually calculate this by looking at these points and estimating from the graph, and you'll see that we have a positive revenue. So now we're going to finally use both definitions of marginal cost. Okay, so use both definitions of marginal cost to find the cost of the 5th item. Okay, so the marginal cost at 4 items is what we want. Why 4 items? When we talked about marginal cost is the cost of the next item. So the cost of the 5th item is the marginal cost at 4 items. All right, so watch out for that. Marginal cost at 4 items, we have 2 definitions. One said that it was the total cost of Q plus 1, which is 5, minus the total cost of 4. And again, this should intuitively make sense. The cost of the 5th item is just, well, how much do we have to pay for 5? How much do we have to pay for 4? Take the difference. That's the cost of the 5th item. And then we also said we can approximate this with the derivative of the cost function, again, at 4 items. Let's compare these two things and see what they are. What is the cost of the 5th item, or cost when there's 5 total items? When there's 5 total items, we're right here for our cost. What does that cost? Maybe $3,500 or something? Oh, that's at 4 items, sorry. 4 items is $3,500. What's the total cost at 5 items? Well, that's going to be... Oh. All right. It was 5 items. It's right here. 4 items was I don't know, maybe $2,800. Oh, dear. So 5 items was $3,500 or something. Maybe this is $2,800. All right. Maybe it was 3,300. It's hard to approximate. But either way, you're going to get something between 500 or 700 or something like that. All right. And again, it's going to be dollars per item. Or here, I guess the cost of just the fifth item will just be $700. And we can also approximate marginal cost with the derivative. In this case, using the derivative definition is a little weird. I just want to give like a picture. Okay. So what's the slope of the tangent line? Because that's the derivative. The slope of the tangent line when our input is 4. Well, when our input is 4, our tangent line looks something like this, right? What is the slope of this line? Oh, that's going to be hard for me to do. What is the slope of this line? Well, just pick 2 points on this line and find the slope. If we have the point 4, 2800, what's another point on this line? We can find it. Well, it looks like there's a point around here at like 4,000. So to estimate the derivative, we can just estimate the slope of the tangent line. I'm probably underestimating this a little bit, but we'll see. So that's going to be roughly rise over run. 4,000 minus 2,800. I'm writing it behind my head. Divided by 7 minus 4. Again, you can pick any 2 points on this green line to find its slope. And that'll give us 1,200 over 3. That'll give us an estimate of 400. Yeah, so they're not exactly the same, but that's because of how I'm estimating it. All right. I did mention that this green estimate will probably be a little smaller. But there you go. That's 2 ways of estimating this marginal cost. In reality, these 2 quantities will usually be much closer than this. All right. But that's how they relate. So how many items should we produce if we want to maximize the profit? Well, remember that profit is revenue minus cost. So how many items should we produce? So the difference, right? Subtraction is difference. So the difference between them, with revenue being bigger, we definitely want revenue on top, is the biggest. Graphically, we can look at profit as this distance. How far is revenue and cost here? That's our profit. Well, this is smaller distance. That's a smaller profit. Over here, cost is bigger. That's negative profit. We don't want that. So what level of production looks like it has the biggest gap? We're not going to have fractional production here. It looks like 4 items, maybe 3 items. But let's just guess and say, that's maybe biggest profit. Say 4 items. All right. We should produce 4 items. The biggest gap between revenue and cost, where revenue is bigger. Finally, what's the average cost per item if we're producing 6 items? Well, if we're producing 6 items, what's our cost here? Looks like it's about 4,000. The cost of 6 items is about $4,000. So the average cost of 6 items is going to be the cost divided by how many there are, which is like 800 and something repeating. 4,000 over 6. Oh, not quite, Jason. 666 repeating. Ooh, spooky. All right, so the average cost is about $666.67. How do I know how to round? Well, we're talking about dollars. So usually we'll round to dollars and cents. Sometimes the problem will specify, but it's a good rule of thumb when you're talking about money to round to the dollars and cents. Well, if you're talking about American money, there are money systems that don't have like the cent thing or fractional things, but we won't talk about that too much here. And what are units? Average cost will be dollars per item. Okay. So when we're producing 6 items, our total costs are $4,000, which means we're paying on average about $666 per item. And that's how we tie things together. The next video is just some couple final examples, and then that's basically it for this section. Let me know if you have any questions about anything, but have a good rest of your day.